Grand Final players' ratings for the Sydney Roosters and Melbourne Storm. 1. James Tedesco provided the last pass for Latrell Mitchell and Joseph Manu tries in the first half. Has added ball playing skills to his superb running game, finished with 214 meters. With Slater now retired, he and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck can battle it out for the best number 1 in the game. 8.52. Daniel Tupou, the Storm singled him out to return kicks rather than Blake Ferguson. That failed to bring any real benefit for the team from Melbourne. Finished with a try and 184 running meters. Well played. 7.53. Latrell Mitchell, another battle with Will Chambers, another decisive victory for Mitchell. Until this year, Chambers was regarded the best centre in the game. You can't say that anymore. Mitchell is as good as they come right now. 8.4. Joseph Manu doesn't get the respect he deserves due to Mitchell's presence on the other side of the field, but his progress this year was on show in the season decider. The Roosters have a bright future so long as this guy is marshalling one side of the field. 7.55. Blake Ferguson, the Roosters are really going to miss Ferguson next year. Especially his forwards. Ferguson provides a big body to cart the ball up at the start of every set. He deserves to leave Bondi with a premiership. 7.6. Luke Keary, he did his own work. And that of Cronk. What an outstanding match from the ex-Rabbitoh. Had 71 touches of the ball. Cronk had just 18. He was the best player on the field from the opening minute, setting up the first try and playing a role in the second. Only blemish was the pass that led to a Josh Adokar intercept try. 9.23. Cooper Cronk, just 18 touches of the ball and 0 runs from the man who overcame a shoulder injury to play. Surprisingly was asked to make just 9 tackles, he made them all. Offered a lot in terms of organization and chat. Played with a broken scapula. 6.8. Jared Waerea-Hargreaves, as is always the case when the Roosters are physically dominant, Waerea-Hargreaves leads the way. This guy loves the challenge, and he rarely loses them. Fellow Kiwi Jesse Bromwich was overpowered in the early stages. 7.59. Jake Friend, the man that holds the middle of the field together for the Roosters, did his job again. Often the Tricolour's unsung hero, Friend epitomizes the toughness Coach Robinson expects each and every week. 7.10. Siosiu Ataukiaho, a barnstorming first stint 10 runs for 87 meters, helped the Roosters establish a level of dominance that they never surrendered. By the time he came back on, the match was over as a contest. 8.11. Boyd Cordner, a great year for the Blues, captain. You know what you are getting from him every week. Strong ball running, 16 runs for 143 meters, and the ability to marshal the defense on the left edge. 7.57. Mitchell Aubusson, cut from the same cloth as Jake Friend. A tireless worker who doesn't get much in the way of plaudits, but his teammates wouldn't swap him for anyone. Another strong showing. 6.13. Victor Radley, strong without being dominant, was part of the group that dominated the middle third of the ground. 6. Interchange 12. Isaac Lute was moved back to the interchange bench but turned in a performance, 11 runs for 115 meters, worthy of a starter. The Roosters have a great group of power runners in the middle third. 7.14. Dylan Napa wasn't cited in the first half. After having missed the previous 3 weeks through suspension, looked a little off his best. Just 5 runs in 21 minutes. 4.15. Zane Tadovano is probably the Roosters' least important middle forward. That doesn't mean he isn't an extremely useful player. Another strong performance. 6.17. Ryan Matterson, the West's Tigers would have liked what they saw. This guy is good enough to be starting at most NRL sides. He's tough, skillful and determined. Ivan Cleary has room on the bus for those talents. 6.5. Melbourne Storm 1. Billy Slater, taken out of the first 40 by Luke Keary's kicking game as much as anything. Still came looking for work as always and booed at every turn for his troubles. Rough end for an absolute champion. 6.52. Suliasi Vunivalu, caught defending in too tight more than once in the first 10 minutes, badly so for Daniel Tupou to breeze past. Held up under the high ball for the most part but easy pickings for the Roosters' lethal edge. 4-3. Will Chambers, targeted early to the tune of 2 tries in the first 15 minutes. Latrell Mitchell was literally laughing in his face 10 minutes later. Done all ends up, God knows how he gets Mitchell out of his head by next year's Origin. Curtis Scott, the best of Melbourne's back five with 142 metres from 18 runs, as much because there wasn't a glaring error to his game. 6-5. Josh Adokar, manhandled on his first kick return and spilled his second in a tough night at the office. Nabbed the intercept try that put Melbourne on the board. 5-6. Cameron Munster, sin-binned twice, once for a professional foul, then for an inexplicable kick to Joseph Manu's head. Threatened in the second stanza more than any other in purple but as unhappy a night as the rest of them. 4-7. Brodie Croft, playing behind a pack that was beaten to a pulp, always a tough ask. Forced a couple of line dropouts and willing as always in defense. 6-8. Jesse Bromwich, hard to remember him being so ineffectual in any game as he was in that first 40, let alone on the grand stage. Better after the break as Melbourne held their own. 5-9. Cameron Smith couldn't get his team going, or find Billy Slater on the rare occasions Melbourne had decent field position. Showed some spark in the second half and cracked the half-century to top the tackle count. 6-10. Tim Glasby, 2 first-half runs for 11 metres, only 1 more, for 7 metres, to add from the second. Not the way his Storm career should end. 3-11. Felice Kaufusi, 2 errors in the first 20 minutes but plenty of heavy lifting in defence with 44 tackles. Didn't shirk the physicality by any means. 5.512. Joe Stimson, went after Cooper Cronk and rattled through 45 tackles out wide. One of their better performers. 6.513. Dale Finucane, held up strongest when Melbourne were under siege in the middle and was their best on ground. Knocked over 51 tackles and 99 metres with a Hia in the middle of it all. 7 interchanged 14. Kenny Bromwich got stuck in with 50 metres and 17 tackles in his first 20-minute stint and matched it in his second. 6.515. Christian Welch came on with 30 minutes gone but couldn't stem the red, white and blue tide through the middle. 5-16. Brandon Smith got his first taste of grand final footy with his team down 18-0 but you wouldn't know it. Trademark enthusiasm and made his 15 minutes count. 6-17. Nelson Asofa Solomona, thrown on at 18 minutes with the Roosters rolling through the middle at will. Added some starch and certainly reminded Cronk he was the biggest man on the paddock. 6.